Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. I'm going to talk to you in this video about the Bobil Vans smart controller and the problems I've been having with it and how I am now using it. You can look back on past videos of the installation of the whole thing, but if you don't know what it is, the Bobil Vans hybrid heating system basically runs off the diesel heater, and you can heat the van, you can heat the water and everything, and it's got like a flappy thing, which I'll explain in a minute. But yeah, if you want to see the whole thing and what it looks like, look at the other video, link in the description. I'll stick it up here as well, but I'll explain it to you anyway. So basically the idea is you can use your diesel heater to heat your hot water. So it comes with a 10 litre storage tank and a heat exchange and a flappy thing, which is this, and I'll explain how that works. Let's get a better light. This thing here, and so you can heat your van and you can heat your hot water. I thought you could heat the hot water and the van at the same time, but it doesn't actually work like that. You can heat the van up to a certain temperature and then it will switch over to heating water, and then when the temperature drops it goes back to heating the van again. So it prioritises the heat in the van, which isn't ideal, but you can set it to heat water only and then set it to heat van only. Problem with that is when it's freezing cold and you want some hot water quickly, you've got no heat in your van, which is why it was better, I thought, if it did it both at the same time, but apparently it doesn't do that. That's my fault maybe. I thought that's what they were advertising, but anyway, let me explain this thing. Right, so the reason I've got this is because this one broke the day after I installed it. Bobil Vans were very quick. I emailed them and they told me a few things to check, and then they were like, well, it must be broken, so they sent a new one. 2 days later the new one arrived and it's been working fine ever since. So I've got this one. So basically what happens is this goes on your ducting, right? So you've got heat coming from the diesel heater, comes in here, and then you've got this flappy thing in here. The heat's diverted this way to heat the water and diverted that way to heat the van, right? Now if you set it like that, obviously there's your heat going to the van, heat's being blocked to the water, and then when you set it to heat the hot water, so it's really hard to do with one hand, the flap moves to that way and then heats hot water, blocks the heat to the van. Now my opinion, and this is what I thought it did do, I thought it would have had a setting, because on the controller you've got a setting air only, water only, and then it says air and water, right? And I thought that when you set it to air and water, the flap would go in the middle like this. Makes sense to me. So you've got heat going that way, heat going that way, you're heating your van and your water at the same time, so you're not sat there freezing cold while you're waiting for your hot water to heat up, right? Blah blah blah. But it doesn't do that. Now you can actually go in there and do it manually, because you have the little lever here, which I have done. So you can just put your diesel heater on and then just push that into the middle, and it will do that. The only problem with that is it just keeps heating and keeps heating and keeps heating, so you've got to keep an eye on that really. So I did quiz Bobil Vans about it, because I did think it was supposed to do that, and I was like, it's not going to the middle position, and they were like, it doesn't go to the middle position, it just goes one or the other. When you're on that setting, that heat, air and water, it will prioritise the heat in the van, and you can set the temperature, target temperature, right, to the van, and it will keep it at that temperature. When it gets over that temperature, then it heats the water up. Not ideal. And you've got this little thermometer here which tells you the room temperature. You go on here, I don't know if you can see, it's probably flickering a bit, but it tells me the van's 21.9 degrees. If I hold this down here, I can set the temperature of the van, so I can set it to 18. Once it gets to 18, it'll flick over to hot water, but you can raise it up and down as you want. 20's the default on it, right? Tells you what your battery voltage is, which is good. So at the moment my water's 56 degrees. I'm going to do some wash up in a minute, that's fine. It goes up to 65 degrees and that's the target roughly. So air heating only, so you put it onto that and it goes onto air heating. Water heating only, put it onto that, it goes onto water heating. Then you have air and water heating, and it does that backwards and forwards thing, not in the middle thing. Okay, so all that said and done, another thing you can do with this, and why it's called a smart controller, is that you can pair it with your diesel heater controller. When you order this, they ask you what diesel heater you've got. One of the options was Chinese 5kk, which mine is, and then you've got other options than that, because I think the software that comes with the motherboard or whatever, or the controller is different, and that it needs to pair up. But what I found was it would pair up. So what you can do then is you can just go to your Bobil Vans controller, say alright, I want the hot water on, push it on, and it turns the diesel heater on like magic, and then heats your water on. Problem is, once it gets to temperature, it turns the diesel heater off, which is really annoying. So when I had it on air and water, it would come on, it would heat the van up to the temperature that I set it, great. Then it would flick over the water, heat the water up, sorry, and then it would turn the diesel heater off. So then I'd have to go and turn the diesel heater back on again. Now, you will know, if you are a van lifer like me, that is not ideal, because every time you turn your diesel heater on or off, or off or on, it uses a lot of power. I did quiz Bobil Vans about it. The initial communication I had with Bobil Vans was through their email, so if you are going to use them, I suggest that, because I did go to their Facebook page and I put this question on one of their posts about it turning the diesel heater off, and it took them about 4 days to reply. So if you're going to use them, they're quite good on the emails, they're quite quick to respond. Anyway, so I don't think there's any solution to that, because when they call it a cycle, no, it wasn't a cycle, or something, they call it a something, so when you set it, it's like a sequence it goes through, then when it gets to the end, it shuts down. So the only way around it, I've found, is to not pair it with the diesel heater controller at all, and then just use it to control the flap, which it does. So if I want to heat some water up, if say everything's off, diesel heater's off, everything, and I want to heat some water up, I can just go over there, set it to hot water, and you can hear the flap go whoop, and it moves over. Then it says transmitting to the diesel heater, which it can't do because it's not paired. Then I just go and push the diesel heater on like I normally would. That heats up, and then once the water's heated up, the Bobil Vans controller is trying to tell the diesel heater to turn off, but it doesn't, obviously, because it's not paired, and then the diesel heater just keeps going. The flap moves, and then the heat comes into the van. I can do that on every setting, so I can do that on the air and water one as well. It will still work. So if I put it on that, set the temperature of the van to 20, it will heat the van up to 20, then you hear the flap go beep like that, and then it heats the water up, and then as the van drops down temperature, you can hear it going backwards and forwards, and it does work like that. And then once the water's heated up to, it's about 65 degrees I think it is, it tries to turn the diesel heater off again, because it goes into this cool down period, but it doesn't. It goes back and just stays on the room. So it works fine like that, and I'm okay to use it like that. It's like it's too smart for its own good, you know what I mean? I did ask Bobil Vans if I could just have a manual controller. For me would be just turn it on, flick it to either or both with a manual whatever. So I think their older controllers are more like that, but they didn't reply to that, so whatever. So my opinion of it all is, now I've sussed out how to use it best for me, it works really well. It does actually heat up the water really quickly. I noticed as well that it's an insulated tank. I haven't put any insulation around it, and it stays warm for quite a long time. If you get up to 65 degrees in the evening, because I did this the other day, by the morning it was still 45 degrees, so it was still almost hot enough to do the washing up, but because it's still 45 degrees, it doesn't take long to heat it back up again to full anyway. So I've had a couple of leaks, but that's my fault, you know, just like little tweaks and stuff that I've had to do. Yeah, I had to tighten a few things up, but that's not their fault. But for the money and what I've been comparing it to, I mean, it's 500 quid for the whole thing. I would recommend it, but I wouldn't recommend pairing it to your diesel heater. That's just a whole headache. I think the smart controller, I like what they're trying to do. I think my idea is better. I think you should be able to just have it in the middle like that. Whether they were able to do that, I don't know, but like I said, you can manually do it if you want to. But comparing it to like the trauma stuff, is it trauma stuff, you know, and other stuff out there you pay thousands of pounds for, it is actually working quite well. So we do have hot water relatively quickly. I think it heats up, if I put the diesel heater say on 3, which is like half its, you know, heat, it will heat up the tank in about 20 minutes, half an hour, and then you can have a nice shower. Another thing it does do occasionally, it goes into a spasm and freezes up and you can't do anything, so I have to pull the fuse from the fuse board and reset it, which doesn't happen all that often, but it does happen occasionally. Don't know why it does that. I'm not dissing the company. I know they're a small company. What they've got here is actually pretty genius, I feel. This is new and it's a bit janky in my experience. This is just my experience. Other people might have put these in and be like, yeah, paka. Anyway, that's my unbiased review, if you like. Me just being honest about the Bobil Vans heating system, what is it called? An air hybrid water heating system, blah blah blah. Anyway, yeah, so hope this video was helpful for you. Do look at the installation video as well, which is in the description. I'll link Bobil Vans in the description as well. So if you want to go check them out, I do recommend it, actually. I know I was a little bit negative on some things, but it is working really well. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. God bless you. See you later.